Look, I think that Putin has had to have looked into the abyss or shaken the tree, and he sees what falls out, and it can't be real pleasing to him. I mean, he's managed to unite NATO in a way that nothing else has since the end of the Cold War, other than his annexation of Crimea and invasion of the Donbas in 2014. I mean, he has really given NATO a reason to live again. This is the best time for NATO since the end of the Cold War.
You've been coming to this conference for a long time now.
Since I was in the mid '80s, when I was a speechwriter for the Supreme.
When's the last time NATO felt this coherent?
Well, back in the Cold War,
right?
And it was, in fact, my boss, the Supreme Allied Commander. You know, in those days, the SAC was almost the king of Europe because, of course, you have the Soviet Union, the Warsaw Pact faced off with the West and NATO. Yeah, I think it's right to say there hasn't been that degree of unity. There have certainly been some missions that have been very important. I would say the Balkans missions in the 1990s were very, very important and unifying Bosnia, Kosovo, and so forth. Afghanistan was a NATO mission, of course, but the way it was ended, at least on this side of the Atlantic, is felt that there was not sufficient consultation. Many of them wanted to stay, and certainly the way that we ended up leaving was not the most orderly of departures. So, yeah, this is really quite a striking moment. I also think you do have to actually understand the context for the U.S. delegation, the national security team, and that is that to a degree, Afghanistan forms that context and a recognition that whether they believe it or not in Washington, the Europeans did not feel adequately consulted. Look at the consultation they have done.
And the Russians saw an opportunity, perhaps, as a consequence.
Maybe it may be that, this message that, we were not a dependable partner and so forth. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Afghanistan was something that was a one-off for the commander-in-chief in particular. So, but I do think, having been very critical of the administration over the decision to withdraw and the way it was done, that the conduct of what they're doing now has been very impressive.
It almost feels like a different administration in terms of both the communications, which they've done so much of in advance of the challenges with Russia over Ukraine, to the public, as well as the multilateralism.
Sure.
It's
number one,
day.
People have their feet firmly on the ground. That was very early on in the beginning when the decision was made and then when the execution was carried out. Again, you have that context that we've got to show that we are a dependable partner, that we do consult, and that we have the will to employ the extraordinary capabilities that only we have. So it's a very different sense, and it's a very reassuring sense. Again, I give credit to the administration for what they have done and the way that they are very quickly taking what is undoubtedly sensitive intelligence and laundering it into releasable public information to put Russia on notice repeatedly is also very impressive.
That so if the Russians engage in a false flag, or if the Russians, that they will be seen to have been manipulating.
I mean, it does help that you have the media, the social media, that you can follow this all on TikTok or on whatever is posted. So that literally drawing social media plus all of the other sources, and government does that too, of course. In fact, the CIA has an open source center that mines all this stuff. The question obviously is, does he really, truly, want to go in from, gosh, I don't know, you come in from the north and the south and, have a pincer and shut it off and encircle the Ukrainian forces in eastern Ukraine or something? Does he really want to try to digest what we believe will be a porcupine that will not go down easily?